Sam Seder on the Majority Report. That is sound that Matt took from Friday as people marched to One Police Plaza in New York City. We are the 99%, and one of those 99%ers is on the phone with us now. Jeff, just down from his media perch overlooking Zuccotti Park, or now known as Liberty Square, by the occupiers of Wall Street. Jeff, welcome to the program. Jeff, you there?
Actually, yeah, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Actually, Allison Kilkenny on today's Citizen Radio mentioned that Zuccotti Park is the park's slave name, and that we like to refer to it as Liberty Plaza from now on. So
fantastic. All right, so Jeff, you sent me a great email giving me an update of what you'd seen since Friday, and I figured, you know what, why read it when I can have you talk about it? Why don't you start with Friday? There was a rumor that Radiohead was going to be playing in the park. Turned out to be not the case. But what happened around that time?
Well, we had obviously a huge influx of people. A lot of them were here for Radiohead, and what we've seen in a lot of cases when people just show up here for media celebrities or something other than the protest, we always end up peeling off, a certain percentage, and they become part of this movement as well. And so by 5 o'clock, when it was evident that there was no concert to be had here, everyone was ready to go on a scheduled march, and it ended up with sizably larger numbers, and they walked down to One Police Plaza. As a precaution, they decided to make it a silent march just because there were so many new people that had joined, and they didn't want the police to have an excuse to perpetrate any violence on them. And if you noticed, it ended up on the front page of the New York Times on Saturday morning. So
yeah, quite huge. I mean, how many thousands of people were there on Friday?
I mean, at its largest, the park was really pushing capacity. I'd say upwards of 10,000 people. And the march itself down towards One Police Plaza was probably 3, 4, maybe even 5,000 people. It was enormous.
Yeah, we just played some sound from it. I mean, it's stunning sound. So, and then that night, people came back from the plaza to have a general assembly, and this was amazing. You had close to 1,500 people there. And what happened with the people's mic? A reminder for people: there's no amplification allowed in the park, and so people use this people's mic. One person says a phrase; it's repeated by the people around them. How did that work out?
Well, what happened was we actually had to install people as repeaters, various spots throughout the crowd, so that it could kind of reverberate from one group to the next to the next. So the speakers would have to wait, honestly, for it to be repeated 3, 4, 5 times, and it was almost like an aural wave that you could hear kind of wash across this huge crowd. It was pretty cool.
Wow. And just, give us a sense of what type of things are discussed at the General Assembly. I know we've talked about this before, but for our new listeners, people who are just tuning into what's going on with this, what is discussed at the General Assembly?
Well, there are really two types of things, I suppose. One is more about logistics in terms of scheduling meetings and talking about upcoming events or dealing with security or blankets or things of that nature. And the other is really more a political process. And the different working groups, particularly the ones that are trying to craft messages, whether it's for creating outreach stations to draw more people in, or direct action and actually planning out some of the protests. Even a group has popped up now that's specifically about political reform. And what they do is they work on their own in these subcommittees, and then they bring it to the General Assembly, and they sort of offer it up to the general group. So
there's now
everything here.
There's now a subgroup that is actually talking about reforming the political process at Liberty Plaza.
That's correct.
Wow. Okay.
And it's really interesting because there's a member of the legal team here I spoke to. Her name is Marissa Citron. She was actually on Democracy Now! And she wrote a book about the movement in Argentina that really started about 10 years ago, and talked about how similar really the structure of what's going on at the General Assembly is to them. And her book, talks about horizontal. It's a horizontalidad, or whatever the Argentinian word is. but it's about a horizontal structure as opposed to a vertical structure. And what we're seeing now is that with all the satellite movements popping up around the country, I could very easily see this turn into a way where we create almost a parallel political process and organization instead of, trying to be co-opted into the current system. So if we could really organize the people in a way that is on a local level and then comes to a general consensus overall, that becomes a real force and a real power. And so I think as a process, this whole movement is feeling like it's starting to take a shape. And even a week ago, I think I didn't know where this was going or what was going to happen. But it's really starting to get interesting.
It's fascinating because there are over 100 of Facebook groups of Occupy, Chicago, Boston, Wall Street, local towns, and several 100,000 people have already signed up and liked themselves, and have sort of tuned into this. So this is growing both at an accelerated pace and in an accelerated sort of scope. But let's get back to what you experienced on Saturday, because you were one of those guys on the bridge who were sort of.
They call us the frontline reporters, by the way.
Yes.
Guys that are actually out there for any of our Citizen Radio listeners. That's what we call them.
Oh God! Let's not plug Citizen Radio too much. Now I'm going to get offended. We're going to.
All right. Sorry about that.
The politics of just the podcast wars are tough on and on. All right, so you're out there, you're on the front line. Tell me what happened with the Brooklyn Bridge March.
Well, there have definitely been varying accounts in the media, and we know what the police story is, and we know what the New York Times and the traditional media are saying, and then you also hear what people in the protest are saying. But what I'm going to tell you is what actually happened from my personal vantage point, and I was pretty much at the front of the group as we were led onto the bridge. And as I said, the entire march was pretty well controlled by the police. They kept us on the sidewalk the entire time down towards Brooklyn Bridge, which was the plan from the onset to cross over the bridge. So it was not as if we were shuttled there or made to go there against our will. We wanted to do that, but as far as the decision to take the roadway as opposed to the pedestrian pathway, the police absolutely stopped the traffic for us and opened the roadway to invite us in. And they walked with us as we went in, and they've claimed that they told us that you will, do not enter the roadway, you can't go there. But there was really none of that, and they absolutely physically walked with us. We followed them into the roadway, and then at one point, they sort of just pinched off a large group of people on the back end and ended up trapping us up there on the bridge.
Now we should say that the initial group that you're talking about was about 4,000 people strong, correct?
Correct. So, I would say 2,000 of them went, to the right or went to the left and went onto the pedestrian walkway. Another couple thousand were sort of going to the right. I would think, from what I've seen and reviewing some of the videos, they didn't really let even the entire march go onto the bridge. They really just wanted to grab a good chunk of people, so to speak. So I'd probably say it was maybe 1,000 people that they trapped up there, and then everyone else kind of circled around on the pedestrian walkway. But it was pretty scary, actually, there for a while. They, as you know, they like to kettle the group, and so when we reached sort of a narrow part of the bridge, they came in with the nets, and they had barricades on both sides and started pushing us in from both sides. And it definitely felt like a situation where people could get trampled. There were people climbing up the bridge itself, trying to get up onto the pedestrian walkway, which is about 15 feet above. Really scary kind of stuff. And so it was fortunate that it didn't escalate into total chaos. But at the same time, I had the feeling that they can't possibly arrest all these people. It's not going to happen. And I think I was basically wrong. They definitely did let some people out. I think maybe I had a better sense of what was about to happen than other people did. And so I was able to kind of make my way out of the arrest circle and circle back around and watch the rest of it from above. But they did, in fact, arrest over 700 people, and it took about 5-6 hours. And I think it's the largest mass arrest in this country since the NYPD in 2004 arrested 1,100 people. So They didn't break their own record, but now they're up there multiple spots on the all-time.
It's stunning. There's a video that we will post on our site of the beginning of the arrest, and the cops clearly didn't know what to do. And then at one point they just said, "Let's just take them one at a time." And then, and you mentioned in your email to me that you saw, you didn't see how the cops, the white-shirted cop's hat ended up flying through the air, but you saw the hat flying through the air. The videos quite clearly, a guy reaches out, grabs the cop's hat, and throws it like a frisbee, because they had just started to arrest people just as they. And when the crowd understood that they were starting to arrest people, they decided we're all just going to sit down, which is a function, I think, of some civil protest training. Let me ask you this: is there a sense that this was completely willy-nilly, or that there was some anticipation of the cops? I mean, on first blush, my feeling is the cops who were leading the parade didn't realize, essentially, the protest march, didn't realize that they shouldn't have him go on the street. And then they realized that they couldn't do anything about it, so they arrested him. But on second thought, I'm thinking, with all the video cameras there, this is a good way to catalog all the people who might be at the front of this protest, so that we can get them all into the system and find out who they are.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I think they definitely may have felt that we can't arrest everyone, but we want to get as many as we possibly can. And the message is clear, I think, because it's similar to what happened a week ago in Union Square. It's almost a tactic where the cops say, you can't walk here, walk over this way, and then when you walk that way, they say you're arrested anyway. And it creates a sort of fear and intimidation that you can't even walk the public streets without the police somehow being able to arrest you for no reason. So I think the tactic is clear, and I imagine that there'll still be more of it coming. But,
all right, so finally, Jeff, tell me what happened Sunday and what's going on down there today.
Sure. Sunday was another really big day. A huge number of tourists and people were coming down, and one of the really cool things that I started to see is that there's a lot of college-age kids and people just post-college that have been sleeping here, but now I'm starting to see high school kids, and actually there were even some arrests of 13, 14-year-olds on the bridge on Saturday. But you see, parents will bring their kids here in the morning, and they stay all day, and they work and participate, and then they come and get them in the afternoon, and they want to come back, next weekend and that sort of thing. And it's almost turning into a political activist camp for the youth of this country, and it's really incredible. There's nobody's talking about American Idol or Transformers or whatever Pixar stuff that they want the kids to think about, and it's really incredible. And there was actually one kid who I saw, and I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it with my own eyes. He was maybe 9 years old, and he was writing out a sign that his parents weren't telling him what it was, and I jotted it down because I thought how incredibly astute from a 9-year-old. And he first wrote, "Stop the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya," which alone, I'm not sure Wolf Blitzer knows that we're at war in Libya.
Right.
And the 9-year-old kid knew it. And then he said, "Stop the bankers from making our politicians take away our health care and education."
Wow.
And I thought, wow, if a 9-year-old kid gets it, we really have something that's brewing in this country. And so it's really impressive. And another thing about the satellite units there, I've seen people here now from the Occupy Boston, and they're coming here to sort of learn what we've learned and pick up tips and share it with their groups and sort of spread it in that way. And from what I've seen, actually, this is really the harshest treatment and the most difficult of the protests. So apparently the Boston cops are much nicer. They're able to put up tents. And in L.A. they have tents. In L.A. it's inclement weather if it's cloudy outside, and they've got the tents up. So, it's really impressive the way it's growing, and I think that this is really starting to turn into something that was much more than I think anyone ever imagined.
All right, one more practical question for you. I know on Wednesday there are a bunch of unions who are slated to come down and support what's going on down there. A lot of local unions. I mean, right now I'm looking at New York Communities for Change, which of course is an activist group, but United Federation of Teachers, local 32 BGA, SEIU, 1199 SEIU, Workers United, the Transport Workers Union Local 100, who were really pissed that the cops made them drive around these people who were arrested in their buses, because they're saying our job is to provide public transport, not to be rolling holding cells. Working Family Parties is hoping to help bring people down there, move on. Okay, I saw the pictures of what happened when there were 10,000 people in that park. It was filled to the gill. Like, you could barely walk.
Correct.
What happens if there's 15,000 people?
It's a great question. And actually, the numbers that I'm hearing for this union presence is that it might be more on the order of between 50 and 100,000 people out here.
Wow.
The transit workers alone are saying that they're going to have between 5 and 10,000 people out here. So I don't know. I mean, it was, even with the crowd that we had on Saturday marching towards the bridge, it was almost too big to orderly communicate and get it going, even though it ended up proceeding in an orderly and calm fashion. But I don't know. I mean, I certainly think it's going to make it harder for the cops to try and arrest every single person anymore. And, I think we're looking forward to it. I mean, you're watching or hearing about history that's really happening in this country.
Jeff, thanks so much for another update. We're going to keep coming back to you if it's all right with you over the course of the week. And I really appreciate what you're doing, and I can't thank you enough for keeping us up to speed.
You got it, Sam.
And we'll see you on Thursday. And I don't know, I got to get a Majority Report shirt or something like that made so that you can be flying your colors.
I was going to say, or even maybe a press pass of some time would actually make me feel a little bit safer, to be honest with you, because I've also started to see that they're cracking down on journalists in a way that's almost insane. I talked to a Mother Jones reporter who, was visibly shaken because the cop told him, "Put away your pad and that microphone, or I'm going to arrest you."
Wow.
And he just couldn't even believe it.